Are you having a hard time expressing your feelings towards God? If you are, you're not alone. It can be really tough sometimes to articulate how we're feeling towards God and also a way to give him the honor and praise that we feel like he deserves. Well, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to write a personal psalm. We're going to look at the 3 different types of psalms in the Bible, what they all mean, and then how to actually express your heart towards him, whether you are feeling feelings of gratitude and praise towards him, you have some beef with him, or you have things you want to work out, you're angry, you're feeling disoriented or confused, or maybe you're just wanting to grow closer in the mundane, or you're really wanting to solidify something, some big change that happened in your life with a way to remember this experience. For those of you who are new here, my name is Meryl. I'm a spiritual director and a spiritual formation coach, and let's dive right in. So we have to start with why even write a psalm. Number 1 is it expresses your honest feelings and thoughts towards God. It's a way to speak reality about how you're experiencing God. What is your dynamic? How are you really feeling? And to get it on paper, it kind of becomes a mirror. When we don't process it, we don't kind of get things out of our own head, we can be really lost and confused. So writing a psalm helps us get clear on what we're feeling, and writing a psalm also helps us to talk about the difficult things that are going on in our lives and to word it in a way that is honoring our own story and is a way to really connect to God, which is different than just journaling. Journaling can be a very one-sided experience, and not that it can't be a two-way dialogue between you and God, but writing a psalm has a really direct intention and say, I'm going to write this to you, Lord, and there's an intention to express it to God. Writing a psalm, it can also be really helpful when you have experienced some type of significant change or maybe event in your life that is either propelling you towards growth, that is really a difference and maybe something that really shook in your experience. And you really want to remember this thing, whatever it happened. Maybe for the first time, you're hearing God's voice in a really clear way and it feels really powerful. And so you want to write this down in a psalm as a way to 1, express gratitude, but 2, also have it as a written kind of document or memory that this happened. So in the future, when things are unclear and you're not sure where God is, you're going to have that psalm to look back on and go, wow, this is really what happened in my prayer life. God really spoke to me, or this revelation really was powerful to me and it moved me and I was changed in this way. So often we move through life and we forget about how God has moved in our lives, where he was at and his faithfulness and how we've experienced God. And so if you stop and write a psalm, it is going to actually help your future self, your future version of yourself, remember what God has done or how you've grown. Maybe you're in a really sticky place with God right now and you're really feeling a lot of doubts about his presence. Writing a psalm to him about the frustration or the grief you feel is going to, 1, be super therapeutic and really help you get those feelings out and help you process them and help you grow in intimacy with him. And then 2, it's going to help the future you remember, hey, that happened. And look, I'm not in that season anymore. God has actually brought me to a different season, because seasons do not last forever. They can be chronic and they can be really hard sometimes, but they don't last forever. And psalms remind us of the different seasons that we've been in. And then writing a personal psalm, it just helps you express your voice to God. It helps create your prayer language, because you are only you. You can only be you, and God's created you. God wants to hear from you in the way that you can articulate it. So writing a psalm is a beautiful way to express your love for God. If you're finding this video helpful, then if you could just tap the like button for me, that would be So what are the different types of psalms? We look at the scriptures. There are 3 different kind of categories of the psalms. There are different ones in there, but I'm just going to touch on 3. There's orientation, disorientation, and reorientation. Those are the kind of 3 buckets of what the psalms are. And there are different ways of how we are oriented to God, to be so clever of me. So orientation psalms really express harmony or praise when things in life are working. You're like, things are going well. I'm oriented to God. Things are good. Things are groovy. I'm excited to be in his presence. I'm in the groove, right? Those are ways of expressing gratitude. So those psalms are going to look like gratitude. So examples, Psalm 1, Psalm 19, Psalm 23. So the psalms are going to talk about creation, wisdom, your trust of God, your awe of God. They're going to be very for God and for your circumstances or whatever your experience is. Disorientation is when things are really rough and choppy in your life and things are in disarray and you are in doubt, you are angry. This is like basically the grief cycle when you are in a season that is really, really hard. You might be confused about what God's motives are or where he is, and you're feeling really angry and confused and lost. In disorientation, this is where you would learn how to lament, you learn how to express your sorrow and your pain to God, and to really cry out to Him. Maybe confession, to maybe grieved over your own sin, a place of pouring your heart out before God in the pain and the rawness of what's going on. In disorientation, we also learn to wait on God. We learn to slow down and to really find Him, right? Sometimes things become dark so that we can see the light, so that we can see that still small voice, but I sometimes see it as like a still small light of God or whatever, almost like a candle in the dark. We don't see the light of a candle when the room is bright and there's tons of lights on us, but when it's dark, we can see a candle, we can see a little spark. And when things are disoriented, we can actually learn how to wait on God. We also can learn to let go and recognize that God is in control. And we tend to change the most when we're in those seasons of disorientation, because it really brings up our primal core feelings. It brings the stressed out parts of us, and that can be really, really hard to navigate. And so Psalms of disorientation are amazing to read, to hear, so that you can orient yourself to the reality that you are still loved by God, that you're in His presence, even if you can't feel Him. Your emotions are not the barometer of God's presence, right? He is with you, even if you don't feel Him, but you need to be able to express that you don't feel Him and not bottle that up or repress that. Psalm 41 through 42, 43, Psalm 77, those are examples of Psalms of disorientation. Most of the Psalms are disorientation, which goes to show you that God understands how crazy life is, that we experience more suffering and frustration. Not all of us do, but life is full of that. Life has a lot of downs, more than ups sometimes. And so having language, having the space to express all of the sometimes despairs of life are so important and frees us from feeling trapped and alone and isolated in our pain and suffering. Psalms of reorientation are when you were disoriented once and now you are reoriented, right? You're reoriented to the reality, right? That God is with you, that you've been restored, you've been healed. So the song Amazing Grace is a great example of reorientation of a prayer, right? I was once lost, now I was found. I was blind and now I see. Disorientation is that liminal space of you're not quite there yet and it's just all foggy and you're confused. And reorientation, it's more clear and you feel more connected. It's almost like you went through a really hard time or crisis in your marriage and you're just renewing your vows. Reorientation is like a renewal of your relationship and your orientation towards God. Psalm 103, Psalm 45, Psalm 122 are examples of reorientation. And I'm going to share with you, these are 2 ways that you can actually start writing a psalm. So what you're going to do is get in a comfortable place, maybe sitting down or on the couch, and you're going to get a pen and a paper. You can have it lined or online, whatever. If you want to go extra and light a candle or play some music, that can sometimes really create the space for you to enter in. Make sure there's no distractions. Turn your phone off, unless you're watching this video right before you do it. So turn your phone off and just get ready to just open up to God. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pray and say, Lord, I'm here in your presence. No matter whether you're writing a psalm of orientation, disorientation, or reorientation, you're going to open up to God where you are. And then ponder on what is your experience of God? What are your feelings towards Him? What's your dynamic? What is God doing? How are you feeling about God? What are some of the doubts or questions that you have? This is the first part of just reflecting and kind of unpacking, taking all the compartmentalized Tupperware containers of your life, dumping out the file folders, or whatever image you want to use. This really helps you sort through and just reflect. What is going on? What is going on in my life right now? How am I really feeling? Where's my heart gravitating toward? And if you're a verbal processor, free associate write, you can record on your phone something. You could definitely have a friend hear you, or you can write one with a spiritual director if you want. Start thinking about what's going on. The third part, you're going to just choose a structure for a psalm. I'm going to give you 2 ways here. Number 1 is a typical way to do it. There's plenty of ways to write a song, but there's this one way that you can do it. It's pretty effective. So the first part is where you're going to do praise or, a statement of adoration or awe or worship of God. And then the second part is going to be a confession of your doubts or your struggles or any anger or grief that you have. The last part will be your hope and your trust that is in God. So Psalm 139 is a really great example of this. So in the beginning, it talks about, Lord, you know me, you know my heart, you knit me together in your mother's womb. There's no way I can go without your sight. I'm totally paraphrasing this. And then it gets to that place of my enemies, I hate them, guy who's really angry in confession, and then he goes, Be search me, God, and know me, and know there are any anxious ways. It's almost like he's able to express his anger and frustration and his doubt. And then he kind of comes to like, okay, but I'm going to hope in you, right? That's the arc of the prayer. So you start with praise and thanksgiving and orienting yourself to God. And then it kind of goes to the frustration, sorrow, regret, anger, confusion, whatever. And then it goes to hope, but I will trust in you. But Lord, blessed be your name still. And that is a 3-way arc of using a psalm. Second way is to do it a little bit more structured. I'm going to use Psalm 23 as an example. You just take the first line and you take out the second line. So your Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. And then after that line, you write your own line. So instead of saying, I shall not want, which is repeating it, you say, the Lord is my shepherd. I need you more than anything. He leads me beside still waters. I find rest when I'm with him alone. So you do that, but you use your own words and you take out those lines and you add in your own. And so that can be a really great way to have like a pause and like response and pause, what I'm even saying. That's how you're going to just write your psalm first. But I really have to say, this is probably the most important part, is you need to write from your heart. You are not presenting this getting a grade. No one ever has to see this. It's not about perfect poetry or being perfect. This is about you expressing your heart. And so honesty is so important. And just so you know, like, a thing I'll say about the Psalms is they teach us how to pray. The Psalms show us what God can hear. God can hear our anger. He can hear our doubts and our frustrations. They're actually doorways to more intimacy and the truth. It's not that we're going to stay in those doubts forever, or that's going to be the truth that we're, dying on hills for. You don't have to have right theology in Psalms, right? Feelings are not facts. They are language to get them out of it, to express what's going on in your life, and it allows you to connect with God. Now, theology is really important, but that's not what the Psalms are. If that was true, and there's a lot of things in the Psalms that are a little funky that we're like, right, why is it in there? But the Psalms teach us how to pray. They teach us how to praise. They teach us how to communicate with God. And so they are supposed to be really, really honest. There's some things in the Psalms that you're like, whoa, that is not like moral. But because it's actually letting our heart be before God. And then God will change your heart. But like, you need to bring your heart. You come before the throne of grace. So be as honest as you can. That is very, very important. You get nothing else in this video. Be as honest as you can in your prayer life. That is going to be your ticket to intimacy with God. Not that there is a ticket. There are no rules or special things about that. But it is about being honest, because you're being the real you, as opposed to sending in a fake avatar version of you to send a prayer. But you're coming in with the real you. So be really honest. After you write your psalm, doesn't matter how long it is, or if you spelled it something right or whatever, or if it rhymes, it's not really poetry. But I would take a walk and then read your psalm again, see if you want to make any edits to it. And then this is a really important part, is to then present it to God. Actually spend your time, even if you're having beef with God, this is actually even more so you need to spend time with God and share this with God, so that you can work it out and wrestle with God with this, with whatever you're going through. So light a candle, pray, open yourself up to it, and read this psalm to God. And then actually let him respond. See if he wants to share anything with you. Notice how you feel in God's presence for giving this psalm to him or sharing your heart with him. And this is something to do whether weekly. You can write a song even after you spend your time with God. However you spend your time with God, this exercise to express your heart to God, especially if you're ever feeling stuck. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite psalm is. I would love to know, because there's so many of them, 150 of them. So definitely want to know. And let me know if you have any other spiritual questions you want me to answer. Leave them down in the comments below or email me. Check out this video next if you want more content on spiritual growth and prayer, and I'll see you in the next video.